some local parliament house. We a speaker of parliament be who say Ubian Minka wow any comment about the budget that read by a finance minister as Honorable Atiwa and Atiwa West MP. Honorable Kokor Laurette our we say a budget in the day. On the other budget near middle for that damia or solid or case a finance minister Becase Ometo private jet Ometo helicopter Ometo never be or Cassani you know now Obet Nasino no man so you know my middle for that damia middle for Dimewa Jimia Kukumi we and Numa Honorable Kokor MP4 Atiwa West to the far budget 2026 budget a video this is here.
Budget and economic policy presented to this House last week paints a glowing picture of prosperity and transformation, but beneath the glossy language and rhetoric lies a document full of half-baked measures, inconsistencies, and misguided fiscal priorities. The NDC government has left Ghanaians high and dry. They've left Ghanaians and kicked them to the curb, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the government plans to purchase 4 helicopters, 2 jets, and 2 offshore vessels, what my great-grandmother in my constituency will call 2 ships. Mr. Speaker, this will cost a whopping over 12 billion Ghana cedis, which some of my constituents and the average Ghanaian can understand. In tree, it will cost a Mr. Speaker, do you know what that money can do for the average Ghanaian to ease their lives, Mr. Speaker? Like my constituents in Kwabing, in Mosul, and Paming, at a time when the government is asking Ghanaians to sacrifice more, this is a clear case, Mr. Speaker, of Midofo Adadami budget. Mr. Speaker, how can the government seek to purchase 4 helicopters with landing gear, which is extremely expensive, 2 offshore vessels, and 2 presidential jets? When, Mr. Speaker, please listen to me, House, this is very important. I'm not playing partisan here. At a time when the maternal mortality rate in Ghana is rising, I made a statement of this last week with facts, okay? When young women are dying during childbirth or immediately after childbirth, which their deaths could have been prevented because the causes are known and treatable. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, it's heartbreaking. It breaks my heart when I see the flyers, the funeral flyers of these young women who probably have recently married, dying.
Honorable Asante, I will ask that they should stop your time. Yes, Honorable Majority, Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, how can the government seek to purchase jets, helicopters, and offshore vessels when cocoa farmers were given a paltry 12.27% in increase, which is about 396 cedis over this increase in price this year, when public sector workers were given a mere 9% increase, when emergency care is practically non-existent in Ghana because of the failure of our emergency care system, which remains severely under-resourced or entirely absent. When basic life-saving skills like defibrillators, which is when you go to other countries, they're in supermarkets, they're in public places, they don't cost anything, it's non-existent to jump-start a person's heart if they have a heart attack. When ventilators and oxygen are missing and lacking in regional and district hospitals, when the country lacks catheterization labs in regional or district hospitals to diagnose and treat heart attacks and heart conditions, as a result, patients die in transit. You all remember Dr. Kwame Edufori, a Konfuanochi Teaching Hospital dedicated doctor who saved lives. He was an emergency room doctor. And yet, when he needed his life to be saved, when he needed an intervention, there was no cath lab at Konfanoche Hospital. So what happened? What happened? He had to be transferred to Accra, and he died on the way. Isn't that heartbreaking? It is. So I'm wondering, my honorable members from the other side, to think about Dr. Eduofori before they approve the jets and the vessels. Because if a cath lab, and the cath lab doesn't cost that much, okay? It's used for diagnostic and treatment, so it doesn't cost that much. Yet in spite of the urgent needs of the Ghanaian people, the NDC government still plans to buy the jets, the 2 jets, the 4 helicopters, and 2 ships. The cost of these jets and the helicopters and vessels can provide many cath labs and life-saving tools and medicines to equip regional and district hospitals to prevent tragedies. This significant sum, Mr. Speaker, can be better directed towards health and education, which have a more direct positive impact on the livelihood of the ordinary Ghanaian. Mr. Speaker, will traders who are suffering sit in the 2 jets? No. Will farmers who are suffering sit in the 4 helicopters? No. Will teachers who are suffering travel in the 2 jets? No. Will the nurses who are suffering use the offshore vehicles or ships? No. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget also does not have any immediate relief for the high utility tariffs. The budget statement failed to announce specific strong measures to drastically reduce the base tariffs that households pay for electricity and water. High utility costs remain a significant burden, major burden on families every month. The government's approach to utility costs does not provide for immediate and direct subsidies or tariff cuts for households. Electricity tariffs saw 3 increases this year, at least 14.75% in May, 2.45% on July 1st, and 1.14% on August 2025. Water tariffs also rose by 4.02% on May 3rd, 2025. But what the government plans to do, Mr. Speaker, again, is to buy 2 jets and 4 helicopters and 2 ships. Mr. Speaker, the government's priorities are clearly misplaced. Mr. Speaker, the budget also lacks a well-defined roadmap for execution of stalled projects. Despite the allocation of 100 million for completion of 10 Agenda 111 hospitals, the budget lacks detailed execution plans necessary to resolve the backlog of these stalled projects quickly and comprehensively. Specifically, there was no clear project-by-project schedule or phase completion date, right? Meaning that the communities cannot determine when the hospitals will be complete. Is it the first quarter of 2026, the second quarter, the third quarter? They can't determine. And this leads to fears in the community that the very commitment is too limited and risks further delays, frustrating local community members who are anxiously waiting for these benefits, like my constituents in the township of Abowosu, where there's an Agenda 111 hospital that is, Mr. Speaker, 93% or more complete. They're anxiously waiting to use it. Instead of that, the government, instead of completing more than the 10 Agenda 111 hospitals, they're rather prioritizing the purchase of 2 jets, 4 helicopters with landing pads, Mr. Speaker. That's no ordinary vessel, okay? And then, Mr. Speaker, plus 2 ships. I ask, Mr. Speaker, is that the priority of the country? No. Traders are suffering. Yes. Farmers are suffering. Yes. Nurses are suffering. Yes. Teachers are suffering. Yes. Mr. Speaker, the budget also lacks a dedicated program to support micro, small, and medium enterprises to overcome the current high interest rate and the cautious nature of banks at this time. This leaves businesses, Mr. Speaker, who are the main drivers of job creation without the quick funding they need to invest and grow, which slows down job creation. Mr. Speaker, the Women's Bank, which was not established although in spite of it being in the 2025 budget, has found its way again in the 2026 budget. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
While the 401 million allocation in the 2026 budget meets the BOG, Bank of Ghana Capital requirement, but even though it meets the commercial bank threshold, it is not sufficient to really boost the capital base. Even though it's 451 now, it's not sufficient for overall operational and capital expenditure. Mr. Speaker, the question for the Women's Bank is, how much of the allocation will go into the real delivery of the micro enterprises? Mr. Speaker, women entrepreneurs do not need another public relations gimmick. They need access to credit. As it stands now, the Women's Bank is merely a promise without delivery. As we saw earlier in the 2025 budget, Mr. Speaker, traders are suffering. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget, instead of consolidating and strengthening existing structures, the budget simply repackages old promises to score political points. Women deserve better. They deserve practical economic empowerment backed by realistic financing. Mr. Speaker, the much-touted 24-hour economy was announced by the NDC government as one of their flagship initiatives intended to boost productivity and job creation. But the budget lacks clear details with regards to how the government's allocation of the 110 million will be spent, the exact incentives offered, and a definite timeline. While the plan is to involve the DBG, Development Bank, and the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, the program's ultimate success hinges on private investment, which requires the government to quickly provide a clear and detailed blueprint that the stakeholders are still requesting. The funding is also inadequate. And I won't even go into the 133 or the 419, I don't want to get into that, okay? But anyway, Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget undoubtedly shows no clear road arrears clearance. There is no schedule and no transparency on how accumulated arrears will be cleared. Contractors, Mr. Speaker, contractors are still in distress, financial distress. Many of them cannot pay loans.
Yes, Honorable Richard Achampong, Honorable Kokor Asante, hold it. Honorable Richard Achampong, you have the floor.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I think we have time allotment for every member speaking. Leaders are supposed to use 1 hour each.
I believe if I recall correctly, I said I can't, I don't know if it's 133, I don't want to get into that. That's what I said. So.
Why?
Honorable members are directed that the use of 419, which is associated with criminality, should be expelled.
Thank you.
Yes, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of the contractors, as I was saying, are under distress. They can't pay their loans, can't pay workers, have had their equipment repossessed, and yet the government wants to buy 2 jets, 4 helicopters, 2 ships. When contractors are suffering, teachers are suffering, nurses are suffering, traders and farmers are suffering. Mr. Speaker, switching to education, which is critical for our national development. The education sector received a large nominal sum totaling 43.2 billion, 33.3 billion for the Ministry of Education and 9.9 billion for GET Fund, which constitutes about 14.3% of the 2026 total government expenditure. However, this is still inadequate because it falls below the 15% to 20% international benchmark recommended by organizations like UNESCO. It's barely enough to solve the long-standing massive problems such as needed to improve teacher quality, teacher vacancies, and acquisition of necessary resources to meet global standards. Mr. Speaker, underserved and rural constituencies, communities like my constituency, Atiwa West, the teacher shortage has reached real alarming levels, right? Schools in these areas operate with 1 or 2 teachers handling multiple classes, leading to chronic loss of instruction and deteriorating performance. There's a widening learning inequality between rural and urban areas, poor performance in core subjects, and rising dropout rates. Mr. Speaker, the problem of teacher shortage must be fully addressed. It has not. Mr. Speaker, TVET funding also has not received any major funding push, and for the long-term job skills mismatch. The youth need this, Mr. Speaker. The youth are suffering and they need skills training. So, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the 2026 budget is heavy on rhetoric. It's light on substance. The government came to power with loud promises. However, all we have now is spin. Ghanaians deserve better. They deserve a government that feels their pain and responds to their struggles. It's about time the government stopped playing chaskele with the Ghanaians. That this budget is Medofo Adadami budget. Medofo Adadami.